Hey everyone, it's only Andy from the I Am community. I hope you're okay, but I want to begin with a simple question. Imagine it's the middle of winter. A storm has just knocked out power across the country. Most of us are sitting inside, trying to stay warm. Some are asleep, some are making a cup of tea. Some may be charging their phones. Meanwhile, somewhere in the dark, a crew of engineers is climbing poles in freezing rain, repairing damaged lines, restoring power to homes they've never seen and people they'll never meet. Now imagine walking up to those workers and saying electricity should be free. Not electricity should be available to everyone, not energy prices are unfair, not the system needs reform, simply electricity is free. Something about that doesn't sit quite right, and yet every few months a new video appears online claiming exactly that. The advice is always similar. Close your account, don't register with the supplier, the national grid already exists, the public paid for the infrastructure, just go and change your meters because therefore electricity is free. Now that's a very attractive idea, but let's be honest, nobody likes paying bills. Nobody enjoys watching prices rise. Nobody enjoys feeling trapped inside systems they don't fully understand. And for many people, rising energy costs have caused genuine hardship. The frustration is real. The anger is real. But an idea can be emotionally satisfying and still be completely wrong. So I'd like to ask a simple question. Does this argument still make sense when we follow it all the way to its logical conclusion? Because that's where the truth usually reveals itself. Now let's start with something important. Excuse me. There's a huge difference between saying, I believe electricity should be free, and saying electricity is free. The first is a moral position. The second is a statement about reality. And those are not the same thing. You can believe food should be free, housing should be free, healthcare should be free. Those are legitimate political and moral discussions. But none of those beliefs magically remove the cost of producing them. When you switch on a light, it feels effortless. The bulb glows, the kettle boils, the phone charges. But behind that simple click sits one of the most sophisticated systems humanity has ever built. Power stations to generate electricity around the clock. Control centers balancing supply and demand every second. Engineers inspecting equipment. Maintenance crews repairing faults. Emergency teams responding to outages. Thousands upon thousands of people work every day to make sure electricity arrives when you need it. And like most people, they expect to be paid for their labor. So here's the first question. If you're a plumber, will you work for free? If you're a teacher, will you work for free? If you're a builder, will you work for free? Most people may answer immediately, no, of course not, because they understand their labor has value. So why does that principle suddenly disappear when discussing the labor of everyone else? Let's simplify it a little bit further. Imagine a village of 100 people. 10 people grow food, 5 maintain the water, 5 generate electricity, 5 repair the roads, and 5 build homes. Everyone contributes something. But then one person stands up and says, food should be free. The village may even agree. Food is essential. But then the farmers ask, well, who's going to plant it? Who harvests it? Who repairs the machinery? Who works through bad weather? You see, the question isn't whether food is important. The question is who accepts responsibility for producing it. The exact same principle applies to electricity. And this brings us to one of the most common arguments I hear. The public has already paid for the infrastructure, and there is truth in that. Taxpayers helped fund much of the infrastructure we use today, but infrastructure is not the same as operation. Buying a car is one thing. Fueling it, maintaining it, repairing it, and replacing parts for the next 20 years is something else entirely. The electricity grid isn't a monument, it's a living system. Every day there are wages to pay, equipment to replace, safety inspections to conduct, substations to upgrade, and billions being invested into the transition towards so-called cleaner energy. The cost never stops. The question simply is, who carries it? And this is where many people unknowingly make a mistake. They assume that if they refuse to pay, the cost disappears. It doesn't. Costs never disappear. They are merely transferred. If users don't pay, taxpayers pay. If taxpayers don't pay, services deteriorate. If nobody pays, eventually the lights go out. The cost remains, only the location changes. Now, for some people, the discussion will shift away from economics and into law. You've probably heard the arguments. I've never signed a contract. My name's in capital letters, it isn't me. The government is a corporation, or the whole system is fraudulent. Those ideas have been circulating for decades. They sound revolutionary, but there is one problem. They consistently fail when tested in court. Every time. The reason is simple. Society does not operate solely on handwritten signatures. When you unknowingly use a service provided by others, obligations arise. You cannot walk into a restaurant, eat a meal, and then refuse payment because nobody handed you a contract beforehand. You cannot consume electricity for years and then claim no responsibility exists because the document lacks a signature. The law does not work that way. And more importantly, reality doesn't work that way either. Believing a system is flawed does not eliminate your dependence upon it. If someone generally wants complete independence, there is a coherent path. Same as what I've done. You generate your own power. You start growing your own food. You build your own infrastructure. That's difficult, but it's honest. What isn't honest is continuing to consume the labor of others while denying any responsibility towards its creation. And that's really the heart of this entire conversation, because this isn't actually about electricity. It's about a much bigger question. Can we continue receiving the benefits of civilization while denying responsibility for maintaining civilization? Think about the roads. Think about the water. Think about the internet, housing. Every one of these systems requires some human effort. Every one of them depends on people getting up every morning and contributing something. Civilization is not a machine that runs itself. It's a network of responsibilities shared across millions of people, which brings me to what I believe is the real issue. Many people talk about freedom. Far fewer talk about responsibility, yet the two are inseparable. In fact, the word responsibility can be understood as responsibility, the ability to respond, the ability to contribute, the ability to carry your part of the load. Freedom without responsibility is not freedom, it is dependency. Because if someone else must carry the burden for your choices, then you are not independent. You are dependent on their contribution. True freedom looks different. True freedom is building, creating, contributing, improving, questioning the system where necessary, reforming it where possible, building alternatives where practical, not simply demanding the benefits while refusing the costs. And to be clear, none of this means existing systems are perfect. Energy markets are unfair. Governments make mistakes all the time. Corporations are becoming exploitative. Prices are becoming unreasonable. These criticisms are valid, but identifying flaws in the system is only the beginning. The more important question is, what are we willing to build instead? Because criticism alone creates nothing. Responsibility creates solutions and brings us back to our original question. Should electricity be free? Perhaps that's the wrong question. The real question is, who pays for it? Because someone always does. Every service has a cost, every benefit has a cost, and every system has a cost. The cost never vanishes, it only moves. And if our answer is always someone else should pay, then we aren't talking about freedom. We're talking about dependency. True freedom is not found in avoiding your responsibility. True freedom is found in accepting it. This is how individuals become self-reliant, and that's how communities become resilient, and ultimately that's how civilization excels. What we're doing as a community, we're creating a cooperative to deal with the energy companies ourselves. So we'll deal direct and have our own energy supply. Thank you for listening. See you again soon. Bye-bye.